To go back to Laura Carlson in Mexico City to ask about an issue that might well be related to this. It's the decision in the last few days of Colombia's constitutional court that suspended a deal giving U.S. military access to at least 7 Colombian bases. On Tuesday, the court ruled the deal is unconstitutional and ordered the Colombian government to submit it to lawmakers for approval. In addition to opening the bases to the U.S. military, Colombia also agreed to allow up to 800 U.S. troops and 600 military contractors and granting them diplomatic immunity, the deal coming under wide criticism in Latin America from countries like Brazil and Bolivia, Ecuador and Venezuela, as well as several human rights groups. Explain what's happened here.
But there's no doubt in my mind that this Colombia base agreement issue is related to the others because it's another example of the use of militarization by the United States to address any situation of conflict instead of looking for peaceful ways. Basically, what they decided in the court was that this agreement could not be just slipped under the door, as had been attempted by the Colombian government under former President Uribe and the State Department, but that it had to be ratified by Congress because it was a major departure and it was a major international treaty within Colombia. This means that the Colombian Congress is likely to ratify it. The ruling party controls that Congress, but it opens up a space in which the civil society groups that are opposing this and the rest of Latin America will once again have an opportunity to discuss it and to analyze. It's always also interesting because that means there's some discussion that if it's called a treaty in Colombia, it will have to go through the Congress in the United States. And it's not clear if that's actually the case or not, but that would be an excellent opportunity for us in the United States to take a look at this agreement, which has caused so much controversy in Latin America and has really alienated a lot of our allies.
And Laura, in a related matter in terms of Mexico, the prospects of U.S. troops actually being involved in Mexico in the war on drugs. It was, I think, an interview where Janet Napolitano with NPR suggested that that was actually being considered, but didn't seem to want to talk about it much. Could you tell us what you think about that?
It's shocking that she said that, and I think it has to be taken very seriously. It's an issue that would enrage Mexicans for historic reasons and because of the political culture here. Up to now, the United States has been very careful to say there will be everything but troops within Mexico. And so the idea that the military is at least considering the idea of sending troops into Mexico is very important and could cause a major controversy here. On the other hand, it's important to say that the degree of U.S. penetration in the Mexican national security apparatus and within Mexico itself is not only measured by U.S. soldiers being on Mexican territory. In a recent congressional hearing, they said there was almost a 300% increase in U.S. presence within Mexico in the form of drug enforcement agencies, alcohol and tobacco, FBI, all sorts of other kinds of agencies that are working within Mexico now. There are many people here who consider that a threat to sovereignty as well as, again, being part of a drug war model that simply is not working.
Arnaldo, on that issue of U.S. troops in Mexico, the significance, Arnaldo Garcia?
Well, we already have the 1,200 troops that are being sent into Arizona with a dual mission of doing drug interdiction and detaining undocumented migrants. And this has been created deliberately by the U.S. It's a really explosive situation. And from our perspective, right, they have to be delinked in order to defuse the crisis happening in Arizona and also the rights crisis that we're having within the immigrant communities across the United States, where the police, ICE, and other police agencies are using the issues of drug trafficking and human smuggling and so forth in order to crack down on our communities. And they have to be delinked, right? Because otherwise we're heading towards a really bad situation and a deepening of the crisis that's happening on the border as we speak.
Arnaldo Garcia, I want to thank you for being with us with the National Network for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. Speaking to us from University of California, Berkeley, Laura Carlson, director of the Mexico City-based America's Policy Program of the Center for International Policy. Thanks so much. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report.